Hey, welcome to the pit here at Park Howard. That's what I call my little conversation pit. And this edition of Cannabis Corner. Now, no matter where you live in the United States or world, cannabis is coming to you in one way, shape, or another. Now, my city can't seem to get it right, Long Beach, California. In fact, if I want to buy cannabis, instead of just being able to run down to the corner like a liquor store or like a pharmacy, I have to do this, which is kind of fun, actually. Good evening. I'd like to place an order for delivery, please.
Definitely. Can I please get your first and last name?
It's Karel, K-A-R-E-L, and Boulay, B-O-U-L-E-Y. And yes, I have my fabulous doctor's referral and my valid California ID.
Excellent. What would you like to get this evening?
Well, do you have any specials? Are there any bargains for the day?
Well, I do have a One Love Smalls, which is a top shelf quality, just a smaller nug.
All right, so a smaller... Okay, great. And is that an indica or a sativa?
It's an indica. It's a nice heavy indica.
All right, indica, couch. And since we're into couch, I'll go ahead and get that. So why don't we do an eighth of that?
All right, and would you like to pay with cash this evening?
You accept credit cards as well, right?
I do accept credit cards.
All right, we'll do a credit card.
Express.
Pardon me?
I said everything except for American Express.
All right, I guess American Express doesn't want us to get high. But that's okay, because I have something else then. Great, I'll pay with a credit card.
All right, so your total is going to be $40, and we'll see you in just a little bit.
All right, see you in about 90 minutes.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Now, in my city, that's the way it's currently done.
Stronger, stronger together. Stronger, stronger together.
I've assembled my little panel of experts here, and boy, we all seem so far apart. Do I bite or something? Come in here, Jill.
Well,
Lord
okay.
have mercy, you're way down there. It's like, come on, how am I going to medicate with you way down there? Into pit. Into couch, into pit. And what we have here is we have Jeff, and Jeff has been not only a leader in the marijuana industry, the medical marijuana industry, but also an advocate, and works with not only the city, but state and local officials to progress the legal cannabis movement in the United States. Over here we have
Judy.
And Judy the same, not only a leader in the industry, but also an advocate and progressing, you know your crap. You know all the stuff in the battle. And it's been a long battle. This has been a very, very long battle. It's not a new fight. And over here we have, and I've wanted to be on your show for a while, Mr. King, we have Larry King over here. And Larry, again, multiple dispensary owner, advocate, and has fought for marijuana legislation and marijuana rights in the state of California and beyond for many years now. Now, I was only half joking about my form. I just had to go back and get reevaluated. It was $45. And I think we all can agree, okay, but let's just start right here, that this is the biggest piece of crap ever. I mean, anybody can go and get this. Basically, they can burp and say, I have indigestion. Now, I'm not saying everybody shouldn't have cannabis, because I believe everybody should. Mm-hmm. And everybody has a medical condition, I think, that could be helped by cannabis, mm-hmm. whether it is indigestion or insomnia or whatever. But that being said, it's not quite what voters had envisioned when they approved a cannabis, a medical cannabis.
However, every single one of those recommendations is given by a California-approved physician.
Yes.
There's no doubt that if we're really talking about what ails you, they're the people that make those kinds of decisions. Those
True, but do you know of any of these places that have turned a client away?
Yes.
Yes.
You do?
Yep,
Yes, we
I
do.
know a doctor actually that had turned away 23 out of 30 patients one day, and he closed his doors the next day.
Really?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And
He just couldn't,
well, because he was getting inundated with the young people or the...
He just couldn't give it to who he just, and you know what the problem was? Doctors who do not smoke or do not know what it can do, what cannabis can do, and he didn't.
Right.
So
he was just overwhelmed.
He was not the right doctor for
My
this.
first doctor turned me down, and he made me go back to my bona fide doctor and get.
Is this recently?
No, this is the first time. I've had the same relationship with the same.
Because when
doctor.
Andrew, my late husband, when we first were in legal cannabis, it was back in the 90s. And there were no doctors to go do this. You had to have your doctor, but your doctor wouldn't do it because it's a felony. So what the dispensary did was your doctor had to confirm your diagnosis. If you had cancer, if you had AIDS, whatever you were going there for the medical pot for, they had to at least confirm that diagnosis. And you used to walk up these stairs and they'd open this thing like a speakeasy. But because Andrew had HIV and AIDS, had full-blown AIDS, they were able to confirm his diagnosis. That was actually a bit more honest, I think, than the system now, if we're just going to get down to it, to have your actual doctor just confirm your diagnosis, not prescribe
A lot of those doctors
pot.
are afraid. They're afraid not of the felony. They're afraid of their peers, of their clientele. There's a stigma.
My pain management doctor, he used to be dead set against cannabis, and now he continually grills me and writes down, he goes, well, how much do you use? When do you use it? What's the best way to use it?
So
everybody
that
comes.
begs the question: what is happening here?
Why?
Well,
no.
and not just
What
in Long
is
Beach.
not happening here?
Well, what's not happening and happening in all the states where it's legal and some for medical and some legal, none of the cities, none of the municipalities or states seem to be able to get this right. Now, here's my problem with this. Here we have one of the greenest economies in the country. We have a multi-billion-dollar industry just waiting to be tapped.
That's exactly why.
We have revenues that could be flowing through the city, jobs that could be flowing through the city, and yet these cities can't seem to get it right, and they're bleeding for money, so what's the problem
Federal
here?
government.
80
Schedule
years,
1,
80
Schedule
years
2.
of misinformation and disinformation poisons the mind.
By the government.
My son says, sadly, you guys got to die. Because my generation doesn't believe in anything that you guys believe in, nor do they care about the politicians
Reefer
because
madness.
they're watching politicians.
It's true,
in
though.
action,
Think about it.
Not
But you know, it's not just the older ones. I'm on the task force in Long Beach to write the new ordinance, and we've got some new faces and some pretty young people, and I'm kind of stunned to see that they kind of have the same rhetoric and the same ancient ideas, and I think there's other reasons behind it.
Well, I mean, here we have cities that regulate liquor, which is the most potent of all drugs, the most destructive of all drugs, and they
The
have no
gateway
problem.
drug.
The gateway drug. They have no problem regulating that and saying where it can be sold and how much it can be sold for. We have pharmacies where you can go pick up Percocet, Soma, whatever your cocktail of choice might be. Those are regulated. Those are taxed. Those are all. It just seems with cannabis they can't seem to get it because we had it for a minute here in my city. They allowed dispensaries, then they extorted the dispensaries, correct?
Correct.
And I'm using that term because it's what they did. They went to you guys and said, you have to participate in this upcoming lottery, and to get in the lottery costs $25,000. So they basically extorted you for $25,000.
No other industry was asked to do this. No other.
I'd like to
business.
read you something real quick that was in the paper this week. Just a week ago in Long Beach, I don't know if you were paying attention, but they allowed a lot of these craft breweries to open
Yes.
up. And this explains it because they dropped the zoning restrictions. The article has a quote from the mayor of our city. So real quickly, I'll read this quick. The brewery business is bubbling and booming, and this is from Everything Long Beach. The brewery business is bubbling and booming in Long Beach. To further the industry's thriving potential as a lucrative business and economic driver, the City Council has initiated a zoning change that will make it easier for craft breweries, wineries, distilleries, and tasting rooms to open shop throughout the city. Now here's the mayor's quote. Craft breweries fuel local jobs and community investment, which are integral to generating lasting growth, said Mayor Robert Garcia. It's no secret that this progressive, business-friendly initiative will have a solid economic impact on our economy. So they adopted a zoning code that was just relaxed while they're putting harder zoning restrictions on what we're doing. And then Amy Bodek, the director of Long Beach Development Services, who I believe will be speaking at our next task force meeting on Wednesday. This zoning update will allow the city to capitalize on a fast-growing industry by using our existing assets, thriving commercial areas, unlimited inventory of existing building stock, and a regional reputation as a foodie destination to their highest potential.
Right, so what we're getting at here is that the city is definitely applying a double standard when it comes to pot versus beer.
True.
We know also from the billboards they have all over America.
Always been that way.
All over America, you're seeing these billboards
Always.
that a DUI costs you $10,000. How many DUIs are going to come from these breweries and make 10 grand? So there's definitely a double standard there. Why? Is that double standard strictly the stigma of pot?
No, that's just part of it. I think there's other agendas that people have also.
But in every city, because this is happening in all of their cities, all of
It's
their
the
states.
federal government, though. That's where it starts. If it reschedules, now think about it. It's a billion. It's
cascade.
a
Once that happens.
multi-billion-dollar business, is it not?
Oh, yeah.
They don't know how to control it, do they? And they've got the alcohol, they've got tobacco, they've got the pharmaceuticals.
I don't think it's government that doesn't know how to control it. I think they're waiting until their friends at Kraft and Nabisco and Philip Morris figure out how to control it.
Exactly.
And that, is this not?
But it starts from the top and it has to be
But if you don't
rescheduled.
think that Laura Lard and the Marlboro Man, all these kind of guys are trying to get in, figuring it out so that they
It's
can
already
really
happening.
capitalize. Of
Everybody's
course
trying to
it's
get into
happening.
this.
So how do people that live in cities tell their city they want them to get it right? How do they?
Signatures.
An initiative.
An initiative, that's what you have to
Signatures and
do.
a ballot initiative.
What we're doing now in Long Beach is not working. The
No.
task force, you know
Well,
what?
because after
Let
the
me ask you
extortion,
something.
then you guys sued.
What's the word task force mean? To me, it means
To
police.
do a task.
To me,
She
it brings
has a very
a
negative
visual of
connotation.
police. It brings something very negative.
There are no experts on this board except for a few of us that had dispensaries.
Are there any experts in the country? This is also
Yes,
it's
there
also
are.
new.
Yeah, no, it's not new. Think about
Are
it.
there any states or cities that are doing it right?
Corral,
Colorado.
we were smoking pot
Oregon.
at Woodstock.
Looking up there.
That's
Yeah.
a long time ago,
They're,
my friend.
they're still a little
You
more.
think
new to-
Colorado does it right?
Absolutely.
I think they charge way too much in taxes.
This
Someone
is-
bought 4 joints, it was $100. That's $25 a joint.
No.
They still have medical though too, where it's cheaper.
Yeah,
Just
you can do
encourages
medical.
The black market, which exists now and will
Yeah.
continue to exist unless it's structured in such a way that the public can get their medicine as needed without this stigma. Because I'm about safe, dignified access.
But what about Washington, which is now shutting down the medical altogether because they say, look, we have legal, we don't need the medical.
Because their revenue stream just went like this.
Because now they.
Is that
you
better?
can't charge.
Is it better to shut down the medical and
No.
have just the legal?
No.
Why
no,
not?
no, because you do have a lot of people who need it medically and cannot afford the higher price that's
And people
recreational.
18
Well,
to
they don't
21.
charge you less. If you call a dispensary and say, I only have $20 for an eighth, they ain't going to give you an eighth.
It's true.
Let's just call bullshit on that. Let's call bullshit on them being dispensaries where you're supposed to be able to go in and say, you know, I make X amount of dollars. I need top drawer stuff because of my tolerance, but I only have bottom drawer prices.
Well, now
they're not
isn't-
going to give you top
Isn't
drawer.
this
some
now
do.
where insurance has to start covering? Why not? They cover the pills. They cover everything else. This is what's happening.
But again, that was the idea of a cooperative, was that very idea. That if you came to me and said, I need indica that's good because I have severe pain and insomnia, but I only have a budget for bad sativa.
There are ways to get around that.
Isn't
for
it up to the
indigent.
dispensary to say, that's cool, pay us what you can and here's what you need?
and there
do.
are, and some do.
Yeah,
and
1 out of
some-
10.
Okay, let's switch the conversation.
Well, that pisses me
to-
off.
I'm sure it does.
We're the
because
2 or 3 out of 20
all of
though.
us in the business want it inexpensive. Always.
Right, but when it gets
It
legal, it
should
seems
be.
to go up.
This is God's plan, not ours. We
A
are
teabagger
just
said that, and you know,
harvesters.
Texas, of all places,
Well,
they're
they're on
moving
our side.
forward.
They're
Yeah,
on
the
our side
Tea
now.
Party.
Well, the Republicans, that's
Rand
why.
Paul.
They're
Libertarians
looking at the money
will
of
always
it.
embrace
Yeah,
this.
they understand the business
Mm-hmm.
too.
And really, this is such a Republican
If you say
issue.
Colorado is doing it right, then why aren't we looking to Colorado as a model?
We should
Well,
We
be.
should
because
be.
when we tried to do that with the Long Beach City Council, they said, we're not Colorado.
The city council does not want this. Long Beach does not want this.
They don't
We
want the
know
money?
that. They're stupid, aren't they?
They already have a tax plan in place that is.
Tax plan and no ordinance. Isn't
But
that
the tax
amazing?
plan is double hitting, and it's like one of the highest tax plans. And you would think the residents would want that. 75% of them voted for that tax plan, and you would think they would want to at least collect the revenue from
Shouldn't
it.
they all just get high before they talk about this?
I've thought of that. Yeah, we should.
I mean, really, shouldn't the city
It's
council
very-
get high before they talk
The
about
way
this?
they
stress
view
themselves
medical
a little?
marijuana is very counterintuitive. They want to make sure only people in Long Beach can buy from Long
Very
Beach
restrictive
dispensaries.
and
Only-
punitive.
Growing only in
Well,
Long
this
Beach.
is their way of
in a
not
task force,
having
all they
it
talk
happen.
about is
This their
enforcement.
way of
Right, that
not
just
having
sounds
it
like,
happen.
yeah.
That's why an ordinance has to be made, signatures have to be gotten. It's
Absolutely.
money.
Yeah, but okay, here's
Once
another
again.
problem. Excuse me, Pippa, didn't mean to disturb you. We must not disturb the diva. But here's the thing. When people vote for something, in their mind, they've done their duty. So when they vote for medical, they assume they've done their duty and that we've got all this crap worked out. When in reality,
It was
as
never
I
worked
said, you know,
out.
I can buy it at the dispensary, but to drive it home is still a federal
And then
offense.
there's forces in the city, even though a few conscientious, compassionate city council people came up with the idea.
But I think when
6
people
years
vote
ago.
for legalization, they're
6
going to
years ago in
assume
Long-
that we're going to be able to get it right. And what I'm hearing
But
is
there's
we're not going
forces,
to be able to get
there's
it right.
forces
state
that
has
are
never
trying.
gotten it right.
Once it comes into play, then there are other forces that try to stop it. In this city, they knocked out they knocked out a lot of people who are mom and pop businesses and allowed several criminals in. who had multiple wins in the lottery. And the same thing just happened in Illinois. I spent a year and a half in an application process there.
Well, in Las Vegas, they're making you put up $1 million bond to start a dispensary.
Well,
They don't make you do that to start a liquor store or whatever.
Well,
the mob.
No, not the mob. Worse than the mob.
Well, the cartels or
lawyers that represent ex-judges, ex-prosecutors, ex-police. Those are the ones
They're
that
all
won all
going
the
for
spots in
dispensaries.
Illinois.
And
People with no experience.
Massachusetts also.
Same
So
thing
is
happened in Massachusetts and
legalization
Nevada.
going to create a huge mess?
Yes.
No.
Because as
No.
California goes, so goes the country, and it looks like in 2016 we'll legalize. I think that'll pass, don't you?
Most
Yeah,
likely.
quite.
The polling's in our favor. The beer company's not going to.
But once
and
again,
that's where
once
the
it
corporates will come in.
legalizes, just like medical marijuana, the state still, and this is where the federal government has got to come in and allow each state to govern it as each state sees fit.
Correct.
And it really,
This is a states' rights issue. The federal government and
Well, they're
states
arguing that about
always-
marriage, but
marriage,
Of course,
exactly.
of course.
you know, but I don't
But
think
I
equality is a
pray-
states' right issue.
But
I
if
can't
I could,
imagine
this
it's
is a
gonna go
real
the wrong
fun
way.
little piece of business, and I watched this. I told this to Larry earlier. I watched Senator Kirsten Gillibrand on television recently saying that it hurt her to have to beg for money, always begging for money. And then one
can
day
relate.
she had an epiphany. She said, "Wait a second, guy, I'm doing this for you. I'm helping you. I want you to support me because I'm helping you." That's the way I'm trying to reframe this argument of medical marijuana in Long Beach. We are helping. If you look at the vet population with our amazing Veterans Administration here in Long Beach, that the average is 22 veterans per day.
Yeah, but we don't
commit
have time
suicide.
for me to get into the argument with you that that's just all a bunch of bull crap too. Marijuana should be legal for everybody over the age of 18 or 21 simply because it's a good drug. It does a lot of wonderful things for you. It feels good. It relieves stress. But more importantly, it's far less worse for you than alcohol or many other legal
I think the
substances
public,
now.
the public is
ever
learning
has
that.
anyone
It's
died.
a
There's
ridiculous. No one's died from an overdose.
Ever.
It's a
Never.
ridiculous prohibition.
Never,
Never.
Every argument against it has proven incorrect
And
by
the
the
medical
states.
benefits
and so,
are
you know,
amazing.
the medical benefits of it are great, but screw that. The fact is, it's a plant. It should be legal, and we, as the community of people that consume it, should really have a better infrastructure set up than what we have now. This is partly our fault in all the bitching and infighting.
By the time this show airs, there will already be an initiative in the city of Long Beach. The voters are going to speak this time, and the people in the business community and the patients will be putting together an initiative very soon by the time this airs.
Larry, the second
But don't you think it is a lot of
the second-
infighting?
Second
that-
initiative.
There was a panel here in California where the 7 leading people in the pot industry couldn't get together on anything. They couldn't agree on anything.
It's true.
If we in our own ranks
Self-interest.
can't come together to help make this smooth, then we're part of the problem.
well, the city of Santa Ana and the city of Los Angeles, the only way they got the ordinance is getting
Voters.
the initiative and getting the people's
Right.
signatures, and that's what has to be
But
done.
Judy,
It's-
we did that here in Long Beach.
No, it was-
We got 43,000
We'll get 50
signatures,
this time.
and we were taken to federal court because the process
You
that
know
they
what?
used to verify
Wasn't-
those names, 11
How much do you
names.
think Long Beach has spent
Ele-
fighting you guys
Correct.
in money?
Millions and millions. That's not
11
counting the
names.
lawsuits.
11 names. And they held up 43,000 people's signatures over 11 names. It broke my heart.
Yeah,
because
but
they
more
think they
importantly,
won.
how much has
They
this
lost.
cost the taxpayers?
Well, there's at least 100 million in lawsuits related to civil rights of medical marijuana.
They could be
patients.
making 100 million in profits, and yet they're losing it.
Right.
That's big government. We could continue this for hours. We probably will, and show and do this more as a roundtable because it gets a lot of great issues out that are actually relevant to your community. Because every community across the nation, as each state legalizes more and more, either medically or flat out legalizing, is going to have to face this. And since we know we have a do-nothing Congress, and they're not, I don't care if I don't care who's president. Congress is not going to step forward, reschedule it, and then make it legal. They're just not. So it's really going to be up to us. And as it happens, no matter where you are in this, if you are pro-cannabis, then please be sure you're part of the solution and not part of the infighting that seems to also be hurting the cause.
And vote.
And vote, please. Well, there's the cause, right? All right, all this has raised my stress level. I'm going to medicate. It is the Karel Cast. I am Karel. So very glad you are joining me. Well, you know, my friend Thea Austin, who is singing that song, is not very optimistic today. I wanted her to come on and talk to us about why, but she couldn't because she's too emotional. And actually, a lot of America should be. A lot of America should be finding it difficult to get through today. There should be some grief. There should be some mourning. And that's because yet again, there's been another crime against African Americans or against a minority, against someone not like someone else. And it doesn't matter when you're watching this, what month, what year. This is a perpetual cycle. It is ongoing. It is going to continue, unfortunately. And as Thea and I were discussing this morning, she's not confident, and nor am I, that this is going to end any time in our lifetimes. And that's because there is this enormous festering wound of racism that has never, ever been dealt with in this country. Ever. We think that ending slavery or whatever we have done along the way, that fixed it. No, it didn't. In fact, it never even really addressed it. Now, I am not black, unlike Rachel, the Spokane, and that's just it. Smoke and mirrors. Oh, someone that I identify as black. I've identified as black as early as 5 or 6 years old. Bull crap on you. You know what? I'll indulge many things, but not that, because let me tell you why. My friend Thea, she was black at 5. She was black at 6. And when she was in grade school in the South, she recalled to me just this morning how she watched out of the window the KKK marching down the street and how the teacher got the students to move into the center part of the school. In her lifetime, she is only in her early 50s. This is not archaic history. This is not some bad part of our past that we, want to forget. Hell no. This is so very present. That hatred, that bigotry, it still exists. We're fighting over the frickin' Confederate flag. The Supreme Court had to rule again about a Confederate flag and that this state could not or could, put it on their license plates. It was Texas, by the way. And they said that Texas could deny putting it on license plates. Great. You think? The fact that flag is even around, it's a reminder that to them the war is not over. To many white people in this country, the Civil War is far from over. It just changed. It morphed into something else. However, blacks, still the enemy, still the less than. Now, this Rachel from the NAACP who thinks that she's a black woman, no. You don't know what it's like to be a black woman. You don't know what it's like to grow up a black young woman, and nor do I. I only know what my friend Thea Austin has told me, and other African American friends I have, the terror they have felt, the discrimination they have felt, and at the hands of mostly white people. Oh, there's a lot of white people that want to run around and say, oh, black on black crime and black on black hate, and see, that what? That in some way justifies what you do? It's okay if innocent black people are shot because, hey, they shoot each other, right? So what's it matter if a cop shoots them? 9 people dead in a church? Well, that's the price we pay to live in America. Yeah, where crazy people can get guns for their birthdays, where crazy people with ideologies instilled in them from their backwoods, bumpkiny parents, and I don't care where they live. I don't care if it's Appalachia. I don't care if it's the city. I don't care where. You can be backwoods and not live in the woods. There are many backwoods people that live right in the middle of the damn city. Let me tell you. No one wants to talk about that racism is far from over, as we had a Republican Congress that debated for years whether our president was a legitimate black man or not. Was he born on our land or wasn't he? He could be one of those foreigners, one of those foreign black people. Searching for a birth certificate, what an embarrassment that was. Trayvon Martin turns into Brown, turns into. None of this is new. It is ongoing, and it's not being solved because you don't want to hear what it's going to take to solve the problem. Because most of you don't want to hear that a lot of you are the problem. You don't want to hear that the system is set up, that everything you've heard from black people about the system is actually true. That it's actually set up against them. That it's actually set up to keep them in poverty. that it's actually set up for them to not achieve. You don't want to hear that. No, you want to hear that we live in a tra-la-la, skip-to-Maloo land where, affirmative action isn't even needed anymore. Oh, no, blacks have all the opportunities of whites, says the white person. Find me a self-respecting black person that says they have all the opportunities of white people, and I'll show you an empty room. All of this is a distraction. It's all a distraction. The 9 dead in a church, distraction. It's a distraction. Oh, I feel bad about it. It's terrible. We should have the gun control debate. How many have to die? What's acceptable, blah, blah, blah. Because some yahoos are the Second Amendment. Oh, my God, please. It's 2015. Get rid of the damn guns. Just why do you need them? What's up with that? Why should you be able to give a weapon of mass destruction to a terrorist on our homeland? And that's what these white people are, whether they're cops, whether they're people walking into church, they're domestic terrorists, especially to black people. The biggest terror organization in the world is probably the police department of the United States. If you glomp them all law enforcement into one organization, I think to black people, they view that as the biggest terrorist organization in the world. Now, maybe I'm speaking out of turn because I'm not black, but I think if you took I've identified as black since I was like 6 or 7. I think if you identify an African-American person and walk up to them and say, do you think the police, force is a terrorist organization? And they might go, oh, no, that's a strong word. Then say, are you afraid of them? Do you fear them? Oh, well, yeah. Do you think that black people get disproportionately shot by them? Well, yeah. Well, I watched the nice little white boy get carted away for killing the 9 black people, all handcuffed and able to walk, and, he's like able to take his little crazy ass to the car. And I remember the black man who got tackled and I believe killed or nearly killed for stealing some cigarettes. Chokehold, and I believe he died, right? I'd have to look that up. But in any event, he certainly wasn't just handcuffed and paraded nicely to a vehicle. If a black man had shot 9 white people in a church, we wouldn't be having this conversation because the black man would be dead. And I think everybody knows that to be true. We excel at putting in prison black men and women. We excel at that. We're the nation's leader, the world's leader. Most of you watching me are white. And you won't know what it's like to be Thea, who wakes up, in the morning and cries because 9 people are dead in a church, or because a young black man has died over some Skittles, or because a murderer has walked free because, hey, he only killed a black kid. You won't know what that's like today. There's a percentage of Americans that do. And you may empathize like I do, but you won't know what it's like. You won't know. Just like you'll never know what it's like to have your existence voted on, gay marriage and all of that. It's so dehumanizing. But you'll never know what it's like to be black in America. It's not a good place. Oh, you'll say it's better than other places. Really? Really? Because now it's looking to many blacks that America is unsafe, that it's open season on them. And we had better be careful, because when a group of people feel that another entire group of people has turned against them, they often unify and fight back. And is that what we want in inner cities across the country? All-out warfare? I thought we were supposed to save that for Fallujah. I mean, really. It is the Karel Cast. I am Karel. Just really think about this. Think about what it's like to be an African American in America in today's day and age. And you probably won't like it.